today's episode, and in this video today, we are basically looking at creating relationships in Microsoft Access and a few calculations to do with age in a query, making a form and a report. So we are going to get started right away. We have two tables, table 1 and table 2. We are going to put them into Microsoft Access. We create relationships, and after that, we can go ahead and answer a few questions as indicated here. So right away, we go and create an access file. So I create my database file, and I can call it medical. I open my database. After opening my access, I can enable content. So at this point, I go to create, and then I choose table design. Then I will have field names. I have patient's ID followed by first name, date of birth, and then diagnosis. So from here, we are going to assign data types. And in today's question, where we are having PID, we are going to use auto number. Those of us who have been asking, how do we make auto number for such an ID? This is how it's done. So I assign this as auto number. And then I move down to the field properties under format. I will open the quotation marks at once. Then I write P00. I close the quotations and I put hash symbol. So when I put that, this will increment the values from 1, 2, 3 onwards automatically. So I can make my PID the primary key. Date of birth, I'm giving this date stroke time. After doing that, I can come to field properties. I change this to medium date, because when you look at this, that is the format of our date and time. Then diagnosis, basically this is text, so we can leave it at that. So I save this as table 1. I click OK. I can go ahead and put in data 1 by tapping view. I choose datasheet view, or if it is in design view, I can close here. I open my table. I start putting in my information. So I add my people. Next person is Nambi, and the last person is Waiswa. Date of birth, this one has no. This one has 2nd Feb. (1989). This is 3rd May 1981. This is 6th September 1977. Then this is 3rd Feb 1986. This one was diagnosed with malaria. This one with typhoid. This one with tuberculosis. this one with dysentery, and this one with malaria. So I save my table. That table 1 is done. Then we create table 2. This is our table 2. So I go and create table design. I put the field names. We have patient ID followed by district. We have treatment fee. Then we can assign data types. I can put a primary key here. You can as well make it auto number. For those who didn't see the other one, this is how we do it. Open quotes, P00, I close quotes, I put a hash to increment the other values. So treatment fee, I can call this number. I save this as table 2 and I can put in the data. So we have districts like Gulu, Kampala, Busia. This is again Busia, and lastly Ginger. So the treatment fee here, you can see 15,000. This is 120,000. This is 20,000. This is 120,000. This is 65,000. I save changes. So now that we have created our two tables, table 1 and table 2, so that was our database, and now we go to see, create a relationship between the two tables. So you have heard about relationships. You can have relationships which are one-to-many, one-to-one, and many-to-many. So here we have our two tables. We can create either a one-to-one or a one-to-many relationship. So when you go to database tools, you come to relationships, and at this point you have to add the tables. So I select table 1. I can now select table 2. My tables are here. So next is create a relationship, and I'm going to create a relationship by dragging this primary key to this second table. I drop it there. So when I drop a primary key to a foreign key or to the other primary key in the second table, that one becomes a one-to-one relationship. So I say create. So this is a relationship. The two tables have been linked together. So what if I want to edit this relationship? I can click there, I right click, I edit relationship. So at this point, for example, I have patient ID and I would like to link this to district. Now this becomes one-to-many relationship. I click OK. But for now, we can use a one-to-one relationship, and we save changes. So that is our relationship created. So next on our question, they say that we create a query to show all the details from both tables. We save this as patients records. So we are going to create a query. We go under create, query design. I can add my tables, table 1 and table 2. So at this point, I'm going to put all the field names from table 1 and the two field names from table 2, because ID and ID are the same, so we have to use either. So from here, this is what we wanted. You can run your query, and this shows the details that are in both tables. So we can save this table as patients records. So our query now is under queries. Next here, they are telling us to generate a form from the above query, and we save this form as a patient's form. So let's create a form from the above query. So we create, so from here we can choose a form wizard. And at this point, we are taking this query, which is patient's records. Take all fields from available selected using the double arrow. So we click next. At this point, you can choose columnar, tabular, datasheet, or justified. We can first create a columnar form and we see how it looks like. We go next. So at this point, they say that we make our form patient's form. I finish. So this is how a columnar form will look like. We can create another type of form and see how it looks like. I can delete this and we create another one. I create form wizard still from patient's records. I click next. I can choose tabular. Next, I give it a name. I finish. So after creating such a tabular form, you can see some fields are not visible. This means that we need to expand the column width. And how do we do this? Now take your form into design view and pick those fields that were not wide enough. For example, I can reduce this. I select this one. I expand it. So when I go back to view, I choose form view. So far, date of birth is okay. I can now work on treatment fee by reducing diagnosis column and district fields. So take back to design view, can select this, I reduce it slightly. I can move this behind a bit. I now select treatment fee, I expand it like that. So when I go to view, form view, treatment fee column is also okay. So that's how you make forms. And then what if you are told to create a form by design view? So I go to create. So from here I choose form design. So on the right side there is field list. So I show tables. So from here you are creating a form from a table. This time round by design you are not creating from a query but from a table. Say we are creating from table 1, I can click table 1 and I pick these fields by double clicking like this, like that. So when I go to view, form view, that's how a form created by design view will look like. So this one, we never wanted it, but I want to show you how we can create a form by design view. Okay, going next, we are going to create another query to calculate age of all patients that we include all fields from both tables. We save this as patient's age. So meaning that we are going to create a query, let's say from this first query, patient's records. Or if you want, you can create a new query by adding fields from scratch. Alternatively, we can use this existing query and we rename it. Okay. So for now, let's create a new query, query design. I can choose to add from tables. I add both tables, or since the query is already there, I can choose this query and I add all its fields here. Then I will come and add a new field here. So in this new field, I now go to expression builder. So under expression builder here, we shall say date diff, meaning that we are getting date difference. We are getting a certain year subtracting from a certain year. So from here, date difference, we put y 4 times, that is year, because the year has 4 place values. I put a comma. So at this point, I'm going to bring the date of birth field. So I come to my database on the left side. So from here, I choose queries. I select patient's records and I pick the date of birth field. So from here, I put a comma. Now on the left side under expression elements, I can scroll down. I click on expression elements. It brings the middle menu under expression categories. I will pick current date by double clicking. It appears. I close the brackets. So at this point, this is the formula that will return actual date of these patients given date of birth. So I can click OK. So the expression is here. I can now change this expression one. I can say age. So I add age. Remember not to remove these columns. They should keep there. So at this point, I run. Now you can see I have age column added to my query. So I can save this query as patient's age. I click OK. So that is our query and how we calculate age in Access. Next, they are telling us to generate a report grouped according to district from the above query. Save it as general report. Include your name as a footer. So here we are going to create, and then we are going to create a report from this patient's age. So here I can choose report wizard, and here tables stroke queries. I will choose patient's age. Take all fields from available selected fields. I click next. So here they told us to group this report according to the district. So I choose the district, I take it there, meaning that those who belong to the same district must appear together. So I click next, next. So at this point, I give my report a name as general report. I click finish. So this is how my report looks like. Now we have seen those who belong to the same district, those of Busia, those of Busia. That's the district. There are two patients from there. Date of birth column is not seen, meaning that we have to adjust. We need to put it to design view by clicking here, close print preview, and then we can expand date of birth field. We select it and we expand it. When I click view, report view, our report is okay. Okay. Something on treatment fee also not visible. We can take it back to design view. We reduce on diagnosis. We expand treatment fee, and also age field is also not visible. We expand it. Okay, click view report view. So all elements are visible as we can see. So they told us that on this report, we also add a footer of our names. So at this point, we take it back to design view. So the report footer is here. So you expand this space slightly, and at this point, you bring a label. Capital A, small a. Pick a label, draw a rectangular element, and write there your names as your footer. So when I click view, report view, this one shows my footer. You can now save changes and close your object. And lastly, we are going to create another query to show those who were born in February from the different years as indicated in the table above. So we have different people, different patients, and they want us to extract those who were born in February. So we can create this query under query design. So we can uh, take from both tables. And at this point, I bring all elements in table 1 and the 2 elements in table 2. So we create, we go under date of birth, we go under builder. So at this point, we are using a formula date part because we need part of the date, which is month, and that month is February. Date part, open brackets, open quotes, put month, single M in quotation marks, put a comma, then we can go in our table. So pick the database tables. This was indicated in table 1. So pick the date of birth field, close the brackets, you say equal signs, we wanted February, that is 02. So there we are, for those who are born in February. So at this point, you can click OK, run your query. So this query is showing us only those who were born in February. Hopefully we have seen our query and we are good to go. So that is our query showing those born in February. So we can save this as born Feb. So that is our database. We were basically looking at relationships. We were basically looking at how to create age, how to calculate age, and we have seen the formula. We have also looked at how to calculate date of birth. For example, you have been asked only those born in February. We have seen that. So subscribe to my channel. Also put comments in case you have any other area that you want us to cover in database. Big ups to you all.